I didn't.
Hmm.
I did not. Martha did it on her own. She demonstrated. She's the one who really has made something out of her music, of course, professionally, and she did that really. All I remember doing is urging her to do what she was doing and keep on and practice more and do it well, and it took. Pete, he learned it on his own, what he's learned about listening from his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
He sang in my choir when he was a high schooler for a while, and he could have gone on more, and then because I was a tyrant, I inherited it. He walked out of a choir rehearsal once, never to return, until, 3 years ago, he came here to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that whole span of time he never did. But the he learned what he learned about listening from his grandfather, directly.
Yeah.
Truly did.
So, and your mother was also a pianist, right?
Yeah.
So, where did she, growing up on the farm, how did she learn that?
I don't know. The farmhouse had a piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that sometime she was able to play piano well enough that I know that she went to the school in Nyack to be a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a piano player then. And she was never what I would call a great piano player, but she was very, very adequate most of the time. She accompanied all my father's college and church choir rehearsals for ages.
Mm.
During all of my growing up years, she was his accompanist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's true, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
But she was always accompanying him for all of the rehearsals at Houghton College and at Kent State University. And I don't know what beyond that, because I was off in the Army from then on.
Yeah. That must have meant there was some music in the farmhouse growing up.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. I don't remember, I'm sure there was, but I don't remember a radio in the farmhouse.
Okay.
Because the earlier days in the farmhouse, remember, did not have electricity of a constant source.
Yeah.
It had rather low amperage, low battery type of light electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Never be able to light a bulb like that one over there.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, she must have gotten it on her own. Maybe somebody from church, that little country church. I have no idea. I really never don't know about that. I just know that she did play.
Yeah. So when you let's see here. So a question about about what you did do for fun at the farm. What was your favorite? What was your favorite game to play as a child? Like, it could be the farm or as a child in New York City.
Games. I don't remember games much.
Mm-hmm.
Really don't. I was pretty much an active guy, active kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember there was, what is this, little pickup sticks, fiddlesticks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we used to play that a lot as a game, kind of a thing. I remember my brother and I used to like to be outside. We had a pretty nice tricycle. Later on, when I was in high school, we moved up to Houghton, New York, a small town. We got bicycles our first Christmas, I remember. We had always wanted bicycles. Summers we spent outside. In New York City, there was the brownstones, must have been about 8 of them in a row, had a common backyard, which is literally a bare backyard. Nothing planted or landscaped or anything. It was just nothing but a bare dirt backyard with with fences and other buildings actually
Mhm.
around it, and that's it. And we'd go out there and do all sorts of crazy things. A lot of, really don't know what kind of games we played.
Mhm.
Good question. I had to think about that.
What about roller skates?
Oh, we did have roller skates. We had roller skates in New York City, in Manhattan.
Mhm.
We especially had roller skates when we moved out on the island to Elmhurst.
Okay.
And I remember I was pretty darn good mechanically at all sorts of things. I remember even on the farm I was able to be mechanically pretty good. And on roller skates I was able to change, you wear out wheels, steel wheels, and on sidewalks you wear them out. You can buy replacement wheels, and I used to drive my parents nuts because I'd wear out wheels if I could put on the new ones myself,
Mhm.
but they had to go buy them.
Mhm.
And we had a little key so we could clamp them onto our feet and buckle them on, when we lived in Elmhurst, we weren't that far, maybe a mile or so, from LaGuardia Field.
Okay.
LaGuardia Field at that time was nothing like the airport it is now. They've had to expand it, and now in order
So
to
it was
use
an actual field, or?
it was an actual field, and LaGuardia Airfield is what it was, that I remember was what it was called. There wasn't that runway that went out into the bay, which there is now, so a jet can take off and land on it, because they didn't need that kind of run.
Mhm.
But there was something else there. There was a seaplane base. And remember, you've heard about the clipper ships, the Pan American clipper ships that used to fly all over the world, and they'd land in sea bases, seaports.
Mhm.
And LaGuardia had a clipper ship base in there. And I remember we used to roller skate to a place that was a hill overlooking the field, and we could look down at it. And we used to love to stand on a street that had a sort of a cliff that went down below, and then there was, out in the distance, there was the airfield. I remember we used to just love to go to that fence and just watch and hope that we would see a clipper ship land or take off. And we did enough times. That was really quite a sight to see.
Yeah. Do you remember any other sights or sounds or smells from the city that you remember particularly?
Sights and sounds. A lot of sounds. Traffic all the time, and it's nothing like it is today. All the time, yeah. The sounds. Yes, I can remember one sound that I missed when we left Manhattan and went out to the island to live. One of the sounds was that we were only about 3 blocks away from the Hudson River when we were on 55th Street. And we were that was a part of the Hudson River where there were ships would come in, and their piers and the berths were there. One of the ships there, I remember so well, was a French ship called the Normandy, which was at that time in competition with the Queen Mary. The Normandy, of course, was from continental Europe to the States, and the Queen Mary, of course, from UK to Britain to England to the United States. The Normandy was one of the classiest, best-looking ships you ever saw.
Really?
Look it up on the web. And it was a beautiful, for its day, it was a beautifully designed ship. And I remember the ship's whistles. And my brother and I got so good, we would sometimes be able to tell you which ship was coming in.
Really?
Or leaving by the sound of the whistle. And we got pretty good at that. We could be pretty right on accurate about that.
Because you were good at listening.
Because we were good listeners, I guess. That's right. That's right. Well, that, interestingly enough, played into other things. When planes came over, and that's the day of the DC-3. The DC-4 wasn't even around then. DC-3 and a lot of earlier planes in those days, small planes. We could tell which plane it was that was going over. Yeah, going over the house.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite?
No. Well, what was it? There was one plane that in the 40s, early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, was called a Stratoliner. It was the first pressurized, one of the early pressurized cabin planes, and Stratocruiser was the name of the craft. And it always had a unique sound to its engines. We could always tell when it was coming in for a landing. We could hear it or taking off.
Interesting.
Had I mentioned to you about the Hindenburg when it came in?
Yes.
I had.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you saw it pass over your building
On the night on the evening that it crashed.
Were you listening to the radio report?
Afterwards,
The Other Humanity?
I don't recall that I was. I've certainly heard it how many times since.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see.